when I first started playing semi-professional football, my wages actually were not as much as my train fare to get to and from matches. And my dad sat me down, he said, look, he said, I don't mean to burst your bubble, but you're not being paid to play football. I'm subsidising you to play football and you need to get a proper job. And he's now 82 and he regularly says to me, when are you going to get a proper job?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm Mani Saf, I'm the CEO and founder of Poppins. I will only be asking questions and sitting behind the stars for today. Paul Barber OBE is the Chief Executive and Deputy Chairman of Brighton FC. Under Paul's stewardship, Brighton was promoted to and spent 10 consecutive seasons in the English Premier League, finishing as high as 6th, despite having the 3rd smallest budget of all 20 teams. Pretty impressive. Peter, for 25 years, has been a sherpa to some 500 CEOs, many that you would know and love, and more than 100 of the world's leading organizations. I have a list I'll go through in a second, and across 20 industries and 45 countries. His client list, the envy of many consulting firms and some agencies, I may add: MasterCard, Kraft, Canva, Microsoft, Dow Jones, Mars, Luxottica, Merck, The Washington Post, Westfield, The Wall Street Journal. I can go on. Peter and Paul are dear friends, which is lovely, and this is the first time we've ever managed to get them together to do a presentation where I'm going to try and get under the skin and understand a little bit more about both your worlds and ask some questions. Paul, question for you. You have a history of making some pretty brave career choices. If I may, for the crowd, you left Barclays and the world of financial services for the English Football Association, which involved taking a pretty big pay cut. You had a young family and a very large mortgage,
That's
I'm told.
All of that's true.
In 2012, you announced your decision to return to the UK from the MLS League in the US, and were in multiple conversations with EPL teams to become CEO. Then you get a call from Tony Bloom, owner of Brighton, who's only just been promoted from the 3rd tier to the 2nd tier, and for some reason, you said yes. Why?
He just said, look, I've got this vision to make my hometown club, his hometown club, Brighton, a Premier League club. That's my vision. Can you bring it alive? And I'd never worked in the championship level of football. I'd only ever been in the Premier League or in international level or in MLS. And there was something about what he said and how he said it. It was the first time I had an opportunity to effectively be the architect of a football club's future, I suppose. And every other club I'd gone in to run was well established, was doing well, and my opportunity to make it better was quite small. At Brighton, there was a big opportunity, and I quite fancied it. I think the one thing about my career is where I've been able to reconcile my heart with my head, I've been most successful. Where my heart's been there and my head's been there, I've not been happy. And it's one small bit of advice I'd give to anyone. Well, the vision really was to bring Tony's dream of getting the club to the Premier League become a reality. So I set about establishing a strategy called Being Premier League Ready. And I challenged every department in the football club to go out, meet their counterparts in Premier League clubs and measure the gap between where we were at Brighton and where those clubs were. One by one, department by department, we got to that stage where within 5 years we were Premier League ready. And the whole point of the strategy was that in the year that we got promoted to the Premier League, we could focus on the football. And all of the other things, technology, stadium, training ground, finance, marketing, they were all ready. We then just focus on the football, and that would give us the best chance of staying in the Premier League once we got there.
Peter, I've got a question for you, my friend. Many leaders in this room have been in that kind of a situation where you're trying to sell a big vision of the future, just like Paul has, and motivate people to buy in. How would you recommend we all do that? Because it's not easy.
I don't know about you guys, but in my experience, I've found that you can't really motivate anybody to do anything they don't want to do. Anyone with a teenage kid will understand what I'm talking about. So you can provoke, you can inspire, you can challenge, but ultimately motivation is intrinsic. And so then the question becomes, how do you tap into the fire within? Because anybody can light a fire underneath people, but a real leader lights a fire inside people. A couple of the strategies that I would recommend to leaders all the time is first to start by speaking to the emotions of the audience that you have. You know, we tend to think of ourselves and our people as human doings, when in fact they're human beings. We think they're rational, but they're not. We're all rationalizing. We have a feeling, we sell that feeling to the PR department in our head, and it comes out articulated as a rational thought. but the feeling is first. And what actually moves people is their hopes and dreams, their fears and worries. And so the first thing we want to do is label that. So in that example, if you know that people are going to think you're mad and they're going to be fearful and anxious as to whether they can do it, you say that. You say, we've got this massive ambition. Some of you are going to be anxious, some of you will be excited, some of you will be terrified, some of you will be wondering whether you can do it. But I'm here to tell you that we can, and if anybody can do it, we can, and I believe in you, and so on and so on.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's exactly as Peter said. I mean, when we articulated the vision, I can remember calling all of the staff together. There was about 400 or 500 staff, and I talked about the vision, and I could see the staff sort of almost before my eyes moving into three groups. There were those that believed in it and wanted to get going immediately. There were those that needed some convincing, and they were kind of in the middle of the room, and then there was this group over here. There weren't a large number of people, but there were a few that looked at me as if I was a crazy guy. And there's no chance, you know, you don't understand Brighton's history. If you really think we can get to the Premier League and stay there and qualify for European football, you know, you're the wrong guy for us. And as Peter said, you know, you've got to take those people to one side and say, look, I know what some of you are thinking, and some of you are going to be on some of this journey, and some of you are going to be in all of it, but there's a small group over there probably not even going to start it. And so we had a phrase where we said we would either change the people or we would change the people. You've got to take people decisions early, because in a people business, which is what we are, we don't make umbrellas, manufacture beautiful suits. We are about people, athletes, people that support the athletes, and people that watch the athletes. And we've got to understand people in order for our business to function. And when people don't function, we have to change them, or we have to change them.
Most of the time as leaders, unconsciously, we are spouting platitudes and principles. We think we know what it means, but it's not clear to others what those expectations are. Maybe one more little tweak on that, which is, this might terrify some people in the room, it probably should. My experience is that only 1/3 of all expectations are conscious and spoken. So only 1/3 of the expectations I have of you, I know and I tell you. Here's what I expect. 1/3, I know my expectations, I don't tell you. I think you should know already, paying you a lot of money, you're a big senior leader, or maybe I'm scared to tell you for some reason, it's awkward and uncomfortable. But the most terrifying part is, in my experience, more than 1/3 of all expectations are not only unspoken, they're unconscious. I don't know what I expect of you until you don't give it to me. And so part of the challenge is always trying to help leaders make their expectations conscious and spoken, so that well-meaning, well-motivated, committed, intelligent people have a game they can win.
Can I give you an example of exactly that? So when we were trying to get out of the Championship into the Premier League, we identified that almost every football club in the world, but particularly in the UK, they paid and bonused their athletes, but not the rest of the staff. So we decided in 2015 to reverse that and include the staff in the reward system. The first season the bonus was launched. We missed out on promotion to the Premier League on the last game of the season by goal difference. So the narrowest possible margin of failure. The staff expectation was that we would pay some of the bonus. Like, well done, we almost got there. But elite sport is a zero-sum game. Someone loses, someone wins. Someone loses, someone wins. So we paid nothing. But what we said to the staff is that we're going to put the bonus in place again for next season, and we're going to task you with going as far as you can, but go into every corner of your department and find extra performance. And we thought that was a clear message: push harder and we'll all succeed and we'll all get that bonus. And then one day, about a week, I think it was, after I launched this bonus for the second time, I got stopped in the car park by one of our oldest employees, Jack, who was a 73-year-old car park attendant. And Jack stopped me and he said, Paul, he said, last season, he said, we were so close, but we failed, didn't we? So I said, we did, Jack. He said, and that bonus was like, it's in our hand on the last day and it just slipped out. I said, yeah. He said, and you've asked us to do everything we can to increase our performance this year. He said, I understand why you've said that. He said, but I park cars. He said, I don't really understand what I can do to boost my performance to help the team get promoted. And it sort of struck me between the eyes that I hadn't made it clear as clear as I should have done what I needed from everyone. So I said, Jack, I said, what cars do you park? He said, well, actually, I park the referee's car on a match day and the match official's vehicle. I said, show me where you park it. He said, well, I can park it here. He said, because actually that's the easiest spot for me to park it. There's more room for me to maneuver the vehicle. But the referee has to get out on that side. And when he gets out of the vehicle, he's facing the fans and they give him dog's abuse, even before the game. And he said, and you can imagine after the game, he has to come back to the vehicle. And if it's been a bad game for us and he's had a bad game, he gets real dog's abuse. He said, or I can park the vehicle here. He said, but it's a bit more difficult for me to park the vehicle there. He said, but it's probably better for the referee because he can get out that side and the fans are over there and he gets into the tunnel, no problem. I said, and okay, that's great. I said, let's start there. You park the vehicle where it's best for the referee, not for you. He said, okay. I said, what do you do then? He said, well, I point down that corridor and I say to the referee, your dressing room is the second door on the right. Okay. You could take the referee to his dressing room, couldn't you? I could definitely do that, yeah, because I've parked his vehicle. I said, and when you get in the dressing room, you could say to him, there's the tea, there's the coffee, there's the water, there's the juice, there's the sandwiches, there's some cake. I tell you what, referee, why don't I take you out into the arena, show you our stadium, show you our pitch, and then walk him back to his dressing room and say, by the way, there's the shower, there's the hot towels. If you need anything, I'm Jack, I'm at the end of the corridor, you know where I am. And he said, yeah, I could do all of that. He said, but, I said, Jack, in the 90th minute, when our striker's going through on goal and he's hacked down by one of those Liverpool defenders, the referee's got a decision to make. Is it a free kick? Is it a penalty? You've treated him well. You've exceeded his expectations. What's going to happen? He said, we might get the penalty, right? Jack, that might be the penalty that takes us to the Premier League.
That's absolutely brilliant.
And I realised that I hadn't sold to my staff what I needed them to do. I needed better performance, higher performance, but I hadn't articulated or illustrated what that meant for each one of them. For some, it was obvious. For others like him, it just wasn't.
Thank you so much. Paul, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Peter, thank you. Cool.